This is Texas News Now, sponsored by Germania Insurance.
Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. I'm Marcelino Benito. 25 years ago, Clear Lake mother Andrea Yates drowned her 5 children. The tragedy and court cases grabbed national attention and sparked a conversation about mental health and postpartum depression. Today, a new documentary claims a cult also influenced Yates. Sherman Chow spoke with Yates' longtime lawyer about that claim and his experience representing her then and now.
We, the jury, find the defendant Andrea P.A. Yates not guilty by reason of insanity.
George Parham clearly recalls the first time he met his client, Andrea Yates, one day after she killed her 5 children. The jail psychiatrist warned him.
She has a bald spot on top of her head. She's trying to scratch off the 666 off the top of her head.
Yates's original conviction in 2002 was overturned because prosecution witness Dr. Park Dietz had given false testimony. The case sparked national attention about postpartum depression and psychosis. In 2006, she was retried and acquitted.
This case is almost a watershed for mental illness in the criminal justice system.
It changed perceptions of women's mental health socially and legally. As for Andrea's account of that day, Parham says she was so fragile.
I never asked her.
Really?
Yes, I never asked her. I always got what I wanted to get out of the testimony of the witnesses.
As we approach the 25-year mark since that day, there is renewed attention and new theories about the tragedy.
There was a cult aspect to trigger Andrea's actions.
No, not really, because Andrea, because she was so delusional, did not want them to grow up in a sinful world. And that's why she did what she did.
Andrea had a well-documented history of severe mental illness. She drowned her 5 children, aged 6 months to 7 years, in the family bathtub.
The drownings happened at what was then the Yates family home here in Clear Lake. I have a distinct memory of standing on the street across from the house covering this story at the time. I was 7 months pregnant.
The case left its mark on the national conscience. Today, at 85, Parham has retired from most legal matters, but still represents Andrea and regularly visits her at the Kerrville State Mental Hospital. Each year, she waives her right to ask for a release or transfer.
As a practical matter, this is where Andrea will be the rest of her life.
That's where she wants to stay, yeah.
Parham returns now to his first meeting with Andrea in the Harris County Jail, when she said only one thing the entire time.
She said, please don't leave me alone.
Not for 2.5 decades.
Sherman Chow, KHOU 11 News.
A convicted serial killer tied to multiple murders across Southeast Texas is now facing the death penalty in Oklahoma. These are pictures of William Reese's transfer to a prison there. He's on death row for the 1997 murder of Tiffany Johnston. Reese continues to appeal his sentence, so no execution date will be set until those appeals are exhausted. Reese is currently serving a life sentence in Texas for the murders of Laura Smither, Jessica Kane, and Kelly Cox. Right now, a legal battle between Texas's largest teachers union and the Texas Education Agency is underway. The lawsuit challenges how the state is investigating teachers' social media posts made outside the classroom. It comes months after the TEA announced those investigations following the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Our Julissa Garza has more now.
In the lawsuit, Texas AFT argues the state's policy is vague and overly broad and asks a judge to stop the investigations and block the use of information already gathered against teachers for protected speech. According to Texas AFT, since the TEA announced its policy, some educators have received written reprimands, been placed on administrative leave, or lost their jobs. The union also claims some teachers have faced doxing and threats, creating fear and uncertainty across the profession. I spoke with our political analyst and U of H professor of political science, Brandon Rottinghouse, who says at its core, this case is about the First Amendment.
The question here is how far the First Amendment can go in the confines of what the TEA can do to punish teachers or to investigate teachers who may have said some things that went too far in their opinion.
In its lawsuit, Texas AFT is asking a judge to end the current investigations, reverse guidance sent to school districts, and prevent the state from using information gathered in these cases to discipline teachers. Rottinghouse says the case could also have implications beyond the courtroom.
It may be that there are some implications legislatively to limit what certain kinds of state employees can do or say. Those obviously will also be challenged in court.
We reached out to the Texas Education Agency for comment. A spokesperson says the agency cannot comment on pending litigation. Back to you.
Now to a story of incredible generosity after what could have been a tragedy. Authorities say a woman caused a large fire at her apartment complex when she set her partner's clothes on fire. It damaged multiple units, but now the community center at South Lake Villas Apartments has become a disaster relief center. Volunteers have been taking donations for all the people who were affected by the fire, including children, but they still need things like toiletries, soap, toothpaste, toothbrushes, and appliances. A major competition is now ditching Dallas for Houston, at least for the next 3 years, and it's something you could cheer about. Jason Miles has that story.
As the George R. Brown Convention Center gets even bigger, it's also expanding its calendar of events.
So we're very excited about that.
Houston First President and CEO Michael Heckman shared some new insight into a 3-year deal with the National Cheerleaders Association All-Star National Championship, hosted in Houston for the first time ever, beginning next month.
How big of a deal is this in perspective to everything else that comes here?
It's really like the Super Bowl of these cheerleading type competitions. You're going to have 65,000 coaches, participants, media, families that will be coming here to Houston.
For Houston-based groups like Hurricane Cheer Athletics, it means not having to spend money on travel and hotel rooms in Dallas, where the competition has been held for 3 decades.
A huge competition like this being located here right in the city is amazing.
And while owner Breonna Jackson and others may save money, officials estimate a total economic impact of roughly $150 million.
I've already had like 2 to 3 teams from the UK that's coming to and practicing at my gym to get that practice time in.
The GRB here will continue to operate during its expansion project, but construction at the convention center up in Dallas is one big reason for this move.
And so we had to look for a different city that was comparable in size. And
Justin Carrier is with Varsity Spirit, which owns and operates the NCA brand. Unlike Dallas, he says the competition will have NBA arena access in Houston.
Using the Toyota Center will be the first time that we've had a major cheerleading championship, at least that I can think of, that's been hosted in such a premier venue.
So our entire campus here will really just be teeming with people.
In downtown Houston, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
And that's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Marcelino Benito.
In Austin, I'm Quita Culpepper. Down at the Texas-Mexico border, the Trump administration is putting hundreds of miles of new buoys in the Rio Grande. It's a major expansion of a controversial strategy used by Texas as part of Operation Lone Star. That's Texas' border security effort. Back then, the federal government sued Texas over the buoys, but now it's the federal government deploying what they say are new and improved buoys that they believe will do a better job of deterring illegal crossings. Reporter Daniel Perot has more.
The federal government showing off stacks of new water buoy barriers that are now being installed along 500 miles of the Rio Grande River starting in Brownsville. The buoys are 15 feet long and 5 feet wide and 4 to 5 feet in diameter. During a visit to the Rio Grande Valley on Wednesday, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said more than 130 miles of barriers are already under contract.
These barriers will make it much harder for illegal aliens, to drug smugglers and human traffickers to cross the river and other waterways where they will be deployed.
Lakin Jordahl, a public lands advocate with the Center for Biological Diversity, calls the buoys devastating.
This is so enraging because the river in South Texas is one of the last places that people can go to experience nature.
In 2023, Texas deployed buoys to try to deter migrants from crossing into the U.S. from Mexico.
We're not going to stand idly by and see this disaster wreaked upon the United States.
These new buoys are bigger and cylindrical, not round.
We haven't seen this tested, so we're not sure what impacts it'll have.
Federal officials say the new barriers are needed, even though the number of border crossings has dropped substantially since President Trump took office. Critics have raised concerns about migrant safety, and Mexico's government complained they violated water treaties, leading the Justice Department under President Biden to sue Texas.
We've already seen disruptions of wildlife migrations, of animals getting trapped in these systems.
Jerdal says he's concerned about the damage heavy machinery used to install the buoys could cause to things like an endangered species of mussels that's found in the river, water quality, and fishing holes.
They're doing all of this while ignoring our nation's most important environmental laws.
Noem says she believes the new barriers are a safer alternative to the previous ones.
Securing our waterways not only protects Americans, it saves the lives of illegal aliens by deterring them from daring to attempt to cross through this treacherous water.
And that was Daniel Perot reporting. An appeals court has allowed Texas to keep the buoys in the river while further legal challenges play out. The funding for the new barriers comes from the tax and spending bill President Trump signed in July. A spokesperson for Governor Abbott says he's proud to work with the Trump administration to expand the program. If you call 911 for a medical emergency, most of the time an ambulance will come from a nearby emergency medical station. But if you live in Manor, Bee Cave, or Lakeway, there's a chance medics are working out of an apartment, and some have been doing it for years. KVU's Jessica Cha spoke with EMS leaders about the difficulties they continue to face due to their unconventional office in a growing city.
If there's a medical emergency in the city of Manor, an EMS crew is on the way to help. But some crews might need a few seconds to leave the apartment complex they work out of.
While not ideal, it does get the ambulance in some of the locations that we like.
Before this, some EMS ambulance crews worked out of neighboring fire stations in the area they were both assigned to cover, according to Chief Wesley Hopkins with Austin Travis County EMS.
But as they grow and have a need for more staff and apparatus, that force the ambulances to have to go look for a home somewhere. And the apartment complexes, because they're readily available in the county, are able to put the ambulance in that geographical location.
So while medics get an apartment to sleep in, cook in, and relax in, Hopkins says it comes with its challenges.
From a power standpoint, if that apartment complex has loose power, they don't have the backup generators, presents some challenges with how we park the unit. Somebody could potentially block it in.
And a few years ago, he says their ambulances used to get vandalized.
Well, it's not ideal. We've gotten accustomed to kind of how to operate out of an apartment complex.
But as they've grown used to working in this unconventional office, the city continues to grow in its own way. Down the road, a new fire station is being built, and Manor has a new emergency room down 290, potentially driving up calls for service. Hopkins says they want change for their crews, too.
I think the longer we wait, the harder this becomes. And so I would really like to look at a more geographically appropriate location to build a brick and mortar facility for our medics. And I think our medics absolutely deserve those facilities.
Hopkins says they're in talks with the new fire station to potentially partner with them once again so EMS crews can get to you in a medical emergency. In Manor, Jessica Cha, KVU News.
Travis County leaders are helping people clear old criminal records as part of the county's 8th annual Expunction Expo. It's for people who were arrested in Travis County but were never charged, or for those who've had their charges dismissed. Others who were acquitted of a crime may also be eligible. Those involved say the process allows people to move on with their lives and have more options when applying for things like jobs, housing, and loans.
To date, we have assisted over 1,000 people at our previous Expunction Expos, and helping people clear their records creates more stability in our community and makes all of us more safe.
The event is happening February 28th, but you can apply online from now until January 31st. The nonprofit that's helped fund PBS and NPR for nearly 60 years is shutting down. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting announced its closure this week after federal budget cuts pushed by the Trump administration. Leaders with Austin PBS tell KVU the loss will create a budget shortfall for the foreseeable future. Here's Brianna Perez.
Suddenly, okay, we're cultivating this now.
From educational programming to iconic entertainment like Austin City Limits, Austin PBS has been a part of Central Texas and on the airwaves for about 60 years.
Lean on me, brother.
Much of this was made possible through funding from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. CEO Luis Patiño says that support made up about 12% of Austin PBS's budget. But after losing federal funding, the corporation has shut down. Patiño says the local station now faces a $3 million shortfall each year.
We're really blessed to be in Austin, where we have huge community support, where we have things like Austin City Limits, right, and amazing programming, amazing children's programming. And because of that, we get a lot of community support to make sure that we can create the content that they love and have enjoyed for over 60 years.
Patiño says thanks to support from the community, they do not anticipate any drastic cuts or changes to current operation. But he says smaller stations will likely feel a big impact.
Here in Texas, we have 10 PBS stations. Right now, they're all okay, but I don't know what the future holds for them, right? Especially if you were relying on 50% of your money coming from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the federal appropriations. That's a lot to make up if you're in a small market.
PBS officials say even though the network will now be fully supported through community contributions, viewers can still expect the programs they know and love.
We're not going anywhere. Austin PBS, KLRU, has the huge benefit of massive community support. Will we look a little bit differently? Perhaps. When you lose anywhere from 10 to 12% of your budget, I think it's impossible to look the same. But that doesn't mean that we're going to cut back or scale back on the content that we provide, on the services that we provide.
Patiño says they will continue to fundraise to fill the gap. In Austin, Brianna Perez, KVUE News.
And those are the headlines in Austin. I'm Quita Culpepper.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
Hello everybody, I'm meteorologist Jesse Hawila out of Dallas, and we're still tracking a few thunderstorms on Friday, especially in southeast and east Texas. Some of those could have some gusty winds with at least a low-end risk of strong to severe thunderstorms. Cooler weather though for many on Saturday, same thing for Sunday. Seasonably cool temperatures finally moving in across the state. It's been a really warm start to the winter. We will have some cool weather though this weekend. Nice for many, some showers along the Gulf Coast as we get into Sunday though. We'll kind of run you through that timeline in a moment, but if you look at the forecast here, you see Amarillo 46 degrees, maybe some snowflakes mixed in with some rain showers on Friday. 49 Saturday, up to the upper 50s on Sunday. Austin in the lower 60s by Sunday after a cool Saturday in the middle 50s. Corpus starts off very warm, 84 degrees. Then the weekend, 63 with a couple showers here or there. Nothing significant, widespread, heavy or severe, but there will at least be a chance of rain for the weekend. DFW, cooler weather for the weekend. Houston from 80 degrees down into the upper 50s and lower 60s. San Antonio and Waco, same idea. Warm to start on Friday, then cooler weather is coming for the weekend. Now, before the cooler weather gets here, we do have that chance for a couple of strong or severe thunderstorms in parts of central Texas. Really, it's mainly southeast and far east Texas where we have that level 1 marginal risk in place. Some of the stronger storms could have some 50 or 60 mile an hour winds or perhaps some dime to quarter size hail. So those would be marginally severe, as we call it. On our 1 to 5 scale, it is the lowest risk that we do have here. But most of Texas not seeing anything intense. But from San Antonio to Austin over to Houston, Nacogdoches, Beaumont all have a chance for some thunderstorms. So here's what Friday morning at 7 a.m. looks like. You see the cloud cover here in central and east Texas, and then south Texas. Showers and a few thunderstorms will start to pop up as we get into the afternoon. This is 12 p.m. See those little blips there on radar, southwest of Nacogdoches near Austin. There are those thunderstorms that could have some gusty winds or some small hail from Waco over to Tyler, Nacogdoches. That eventually moves into Shreveport and far east Texas by 6 p.m. Still some lingering showers and thunderstorms late Friday night in East Texas. There's that area that could see that risk for some shower and thunderstorm activity. Some gusty winds would be the main risk. Then on Saturday, as we get into the weekend, lingering rain. None of that will be severe, but lingering rain is expected along the Texas coast from Corpus, even up to Galveston, all the way down to Brownsville. You see the scattered rain, a couple thunderstorms here or there, but a pretty cloudy weekend in South Texas and along the coast. There's 7 p.m. Saturday. Clouds linger there. The rest of the state, a lot of sunshine, including North Texas, West Texas up to the Panhandle. Scattered light rain in South Texas. Even on Sunday, high temperatures Friday, you see the cooler air starting to get close. 41 degrees Amarillo, 70 degrees DFW, low 70s to the southwest, or to the southeast rather, and then far south Texas in the upper 70s and even a few mid 80s. So there is cooler weather coming. We've had a very warm start to the winter so far. In fact, just speaking for DFW specifically, this is the second warmest start to the winter on record. A lot of Texas is experiencing the same things. We've had lots of 70s and 80s this winter, even some 90s. Now we're going to get some cool weather coming. You look at El Paso, Lubbock, and Midland, low to mid 50s as we get into the weekend. Lubbock may touch 60 degrees on Sunday after a windy Friday. Central Texas from Austin, Waco down to Fredericksburg, low to mid 70s on Friday. There's the cooler air moving in for the weekend. Seasonably cool temperatures in the upper 50s and low 60s. That's about what we would expect to see this time of the year for areas like Fredericksburg and Austin. Then in South Texas, San Antonio, Corpus, Laredo, you see the clouds lingering through the entire weekend for Corpus and Laredo. A little bit more sunshine in San Antonio. A few showers again would be possible this weekend along the coast. Then we go to North Texas. You see that cooler weather moving in, mid 50s Saturday and Sunday for North Texas after a warm start on Friday. Most of North Texas, including Weatherford, Denton, and the Dallas-Fort Worth area, likely not going to see much rain with this next batch that's coming in on Friday. A lot of that's likely to stay southeast, so areas in North Texas, including Corsicana, Athens, you have a chance to see some scattered rain and a few thunderstorms on Friday before the cooler and dry area moves in for the weekend. East Texas, there's that chance for some scattered showers and storms on Friday, and the cooler weather Saturday and Sunday with highs in the upper 50s and low 60s, and then down in the valley. Very warm on Friday, very close to 90 degrees, and then some seasonably cool temperatures finally move in with mostly cloudy skies. We'll have high temperatures in the upper 60s on Saturday, down into the lower 60s on Sunday with at least a slight chance for a shower or thunderstorm. If you look at Brownsville, for instance, on Saturday with a high of 68.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Seguirre in Dallas, and here are your top stories from North Texas. We start with a business in Frisco that was burglarized twice in less than a week. It's hit the business hard in what's already a challenging time for them. Richard Solomon went to Main Street and learned one break-in featured an unexpected accomplice.
Along Main Street in Frisco, a familiar face in a familiar place.
La Finca is just a neighborhood staple.
For years, La Finca Coffee and Bakery has been a part of the rhythm of Frisco's Rail District, a place Jay DeWolf comes to slow down.
This place is very conducive to reasons for coming out.
Which is why what happened here a few days ago in the early morning hours just doesn't make sense. But this surveillance video tells the story.
I don't want this to happen to anybody, but especially to see it happen to them, it's kind of infuriating.
And it replays time and time again in Lee Gonzalez's mind.
We saw someone who probably wasn't the first time they did it.
Frisco police say on December 31st, someone broke into the bakery along with their furry sidekick, stole the cash right out the register, then dipped.
And the sad thing is a couple of days later,
they were hit again on January 4th.
I was just like, no way. I was just like Seriously?
Gonzalez says it couldn't have happened at a worse time. You see, his bakery is still recovering from the year-and-a-half-long construction project.
This is the door. You can see where it's straight now, where they just jammed it.
Frisco police say they're investigating both burglaries, but they say they can't release much information right now since Gonzalez has upgraded security, locks, cameras, precautions. But what's harder to replace is peace of mind.
And when it happens twice, it really gives you that sense of, okay, how safe are you?
The doors may have been forced open, but the people who choose to walk through them are what keep them standing.
The best way to get out of struggle is to help each other.
In Frisco, I'm Richard Solomon.
City of Dallas says dozens of trees will have to be cut down. It's to stop the spread of the invasive emerald ash borer. Luke Clary tells us the city is left with few alternatives.
After decades in the ground, it was gone in a matter of hours.
I hate to take trees out.
It's pretty much done for.
Coming down limb by limb.
When the risk outweighs the reward, it has to be done.
This old ash tree in Norbuck Park was dead before the Dallas City arborist made the first cut.
Sadly, most of these trees are already beyond the point of no return.
The city of Dallas says at least 50 more ash trees will come down in the next few months. Giants falling to a tiny invader.
The emerald ash borer is this little tiny green metallic beetle. The beetles will eat the leaves. Their larvae will actually bore into the side of the bark. So at every life stage, the emerald ash borer is attacking these trees.
In North Texas, the beetle was first discovered in 2018 in Tarrant County. It showed up in Dallas 3 years ago. Its impact on the urban tree canopy will be staggering.
It is a very tough one to wrap your head around. We may be looking at anywhere between 250,000 and 1 million plus trees that will eventually have to be dealt with.
Some trees can be spared this fate with insecticide treatments, but they're expensive and don't always work. Infected trees are often removed to stop the next generation of beetles from spreading.
So this is our way of fighting back, right? That's how you gotta look at it.
The city says replanting different kinds of trees will gradually soften the blow.
We are mitigating these losses. It's just gonna take time.
But for most of the ash trees in Dallas, time is running out. In Dallas, I'm Luke Clary.
City of Fort Worth is bracing for the return of the egret. The giant bird migrates here every year, creating noise, odor, and sometimes property damage. Brittany Costello shares the warning from the city as the birds slowly make their way back to Tarrant County.
The drive around Fort Worth's Park Glen neighborhood is beautiful. The trees,
they were a lot more dense,
were part of the draw for Lisa Bodley.
There was nest everywhere.
Until her trees became ground zero.
I've lived here 32 years. I've never had egrets. I never thought about it.
Until she had a rookery in her front yard. Hundreds of birds. So much poop.
The whole street was white.
She had to wear an umbrella hat in her front yard.
It is loud and it's noisy and it's insane.
So many birds.
I had seen an egret once or twice when we were out fishing and thought, oh, those are kind of cool birds. And
even her neighbors have traumatic flashbacks to 2024.
I would rather never see one again, honestly.
Egrets are the focus of a new Fort Worth educational campaign. City staffers say the beautiful birds can become a nuisance fast. Rachel Richter with Texas Parks and Wildlife says birds start showing up in February.
A lot of times people don't notice them or they see them and they're like, that's a really cool bird to have in my tree, because it is a cool bird. As long as you're not dealing with like 500 of them.
Egrets are protected. That means once they lay an egg, you can't touch them. And Bodley says they just keep coming.
I heard other neighborhoods, but when it's you, it's unbelievable.
She is preparing now.
We put reflectors in
with noisemakers and deterrents to make sure they don't come back. The city of Fort Worth says now is the time to make sure your neighborhood is not next.
You'll want to start creating holes in the canopy, cutting overlapping branches and thin the canopy. Then be on the lookout. Before nesting, there will be scout birds out looking for ideal habitats. Do not make your home one of them. In Fort Worth, I'm Brittany Costello.
The start of the new year is leaving customers with fewer options for eating out. In just the last few weeks, we've seen Breadwinners close their Plano restaurant. The Biscuit Bar also closed all DFW locations, along with Campo Verde in Arlington and Dick's Last Resort in downtown Dallas. And this week we learned Salad & Go is moving its headquarters out of Dallas and back to its home base in Phoenix. With that, the chain will close all of its restaurants in Texas and Oklahoma. There are more than 200 locations in North Texas alone. I should say 20. Adriana de Alba talked to some customers who are shocked to see it go.
Salad & Go is gone.
They don't know the news like I just got, though.
The Arizona-based drive-through salad chain confirming all of its Texas locations will close.
Guess I'm gonna have to make salad at home.
For loyal customers who found out seconds after we did,
You really ruined my day.
it's not just lunch plans getting tossed.
I hate that. They really have really good salads and a good selection. Whatever you can do, figure it out. Don't leave.
Please, from customer Medisha Holst of Arlington, who comes here twice a week
I came just for this today.
and is loyal to the Cobb.
Look, and I only came for a drink today.
What is this drink?
Blueberry basil is delicious.
Everyone here has their favorite,
And I do my Caesar salad wraps.
I got a Greek salad.
and probably her last.
Savor it.
I know, right? Every bite. Now I'm gonna go back through and get 3 or 4 more.
Beyond Texas, all Oklahoma locations will close too.
Every one of them in the state of Texas is insane.
You might remember last year the company announced that it would close at least 18 locations across DFW. Well, now it is confirmed all locations across the entire state of Texas will shut down for good.
That includes at least 25 locations in DFW. It's part of a nationwide trend, chains struggling. Just days ago, Sprinkles Cupcakes announced all of its stores and cupcake ATMs are closing.
I can't think of anywhere else for me to go.
The company's CEO says the decision was business-driven, adding it'll refocus on Arizona and Nevada, and that Texas is still important, saying we intend to return when the time is right. The drive-through chain that grew fast, now in for a fast goodbye. All Texas locations will close by this Sunday.
Salad, don't go. It says salad to go, but salad, don't go. Don't go.
In DFW, I'm Adriana de Alba.
And those are your headlines from North Texas.
I'm Mike Gillespie in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's making news in South Texas. Now, questions are circulating online about the Uvalde trial that's being held here in Nueces County, and one of the biggest is whether it's costing local taxpayers. That trial was moved to Nueces County at the request of Uvalde County, a decision that has some residents asking how local agencies will handle the additional logistics and funding. Ahead of the trial, we spoke with Sheriff J.C. Hooper, who walked us through how costs and resources would be managed.
It's going to be a big deal, right? But it's not going to cost the taxpayers of Nueces County anything. Every expense for overtime or facilities or anything else will be paid for by the originating county.
So while this trial puts Nueces County in the national spotlight, local taxpayers will not be on the hook for any of the expenses that come with it. One coach has been fired and 2 others are on leave following disturbing allegations of sexual assault out of the Odom ISD. Authorities say it happened Tuesday, December 9th on a district school bus as kids were returning from a basketball game in Hebronville. That's when 19-year-old Christopher Soto allegedly assaulted another student. The San Patricio County Sheriff's Office says that they were notified days later when the family of the victim came forward. Soto was arrested and charged with indecency with a child. In the fallout, the district has fired 1 coach while 2 others remain on paid administrative leave as the investigation continues. In Robstown, police have found a handgun and ammunition inside the home of a Robstown ISD student who they say made credible threats to avenge the killing of one of his friends. That case comes less than 2 months after Robstown's only murder of 2025, which was also tied to social media threats. Ryan Hopper has the latest from Robstown Police.
We can decapitate that piece of that entire equation of violent crime
right? By initiating police activity before it occurs, that we might be able to save lives. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, I believe that's what happened with this incident that happened yesterday.
It was Wednesday when Robstown police contacted the parents of that student, who police say posted the threat on social media. In the post, the student showing off the weapon and saying that he would avenge the killing of a friend. That post was made on Saturday.
A lot of the information these kids are putting out on social media really predicated a lot of what happened in the last 2 shootings of the year. A lot of it, right? Social media is a big influencer. At that age, these kids can be easily influenced through social proofing. And that's exactly what happened here.
Police Chief Tamez says the post is an indication of social proofing, a psychological phenomenon where people look to the actions and behaviors of others to determine their own, like thinking it's okay to skip school.
If it's in school, we tend to address the issues at school, but like I said, a lot of these they're school age, but they're just not coming to school for whatever reason. We do have a truancy tries to reach out to our kids, especially in the area, to come back to school. But again, we can't, if they don't come to school, they don't come to school.
But for Tamez, it starts at home.
If we have to raise your kids, there's going to be some problems. Right? But it is parents' responsibility to take care of these kids and keep them away from the social media. And had they done that, we possibly wouldn't have been dealing with the mess we've been dealing with.
Now, police have not confirmed whether any charges will be filed for the boy or his parents. Under Texas law, parents can be held responsible if their child gets access to a loaded gun. From Corpus Christi, that's a quick look at some of what's making news in South Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. One East Texas family has faced unimaginable challenges since their 14-year-old daughter was diagnosed with a brain tumor more than a decade ago. CBS 19's Robert De La Garza shows us how neighbors, friends, and local businesses are stepping up to support the family during their latest fight.
Every new year brings the same reminder for the Neptune family.
She was diagnosed actually today, 11 years ago, with craniopharyngioma.
A rare type of brain cancer Alexis has lived with since she was just 3 years old, and something her father Aaron says she's had to fight her entire life.
It's a cystic tumor that attaches to your pituitary gland, and she has been fighting that hard.
Since then, brain surgeries and repeated trips to the ER have piled up.
Pituitary gland doesn't work anymore, hypothalamus, thyroid, pretty much all of that's checked out. If she gets sick, stuff can go really wrong.
And over the weekend, just days away from that anniversary, something did go wrong.
Went to wake her up. She wouldn't wake up. She wouldn't respond to anything. And we called 911, and they sent an ambulance to come pick us up and took us to the local ER, where they almost immediately set up a life flight to get her to Dallas.
Where she's been, once again, in an ICU fighting for her life.
She's being kept alive by machines that are regulating her body temperature and her blood pressure, lots of meds.
Can you hear me, Lexi? That's a good girl. I'm taking.
Aaron and his wife Sarah own the Modern Texan, a furniture restoration company which they run out of their home in Tyler. But with Lexi's health at a standstill, so is their business and income.
I just want her. Okay, that's 1,000% where the energy focus is right now, is making sure that she can come back home. I would rather bring home my healthy child to, not having a home.
Now, other East Texas business owners are rallying behind the Neptune family, helping cover expenses so they can focus on what matters most. Lexi, nicknamed Giggles, known as the light of their lives even in the darkest moments, is faced with a hard but familiar battle.
Just hoping that they can keep her alive long enough to let her fight out of it.
A day not about looking back, but holding on and believing she still has more fight left to give. For CBS 19, I'm Robert De La Garza.
Firefighters put their lives on the line every day, and now the state is stepping in to protect them from an invisible threat. A new law will require annual cancer screenings for all firefighters at no cost, helping crews detect health issues early and stay in the fight longer. As Dan Millay explains, that bill named after a fallen firefighter aims to catch health issues early and save lives.
It's been a topic for quite some time, and it means a lot to see steps being taken to help address this problem that we have across the fire service.
Texas House Bill 198 is set to implement mandatory annual cancer screenings for firefighters who find themselves at a greater risk of contracting cancer-causing carcinogens just because of what they do day to day.
What's burning in these cars today, a modern vehicle, homes, and all of the plastics and things that we have in the contents of our homes. We're in those homes when they're on fire. We're at your car fire. We're exposed to those kinds of things.
This is a cause that hits home for any firefighter, but there's an additional personal connection between Chief Eric Greaser and Wade Cannon, the bill's namesake.
I happen to know Wade Cannon. My previous life was one of my firefighters. He was at the age of 31 when he was detected with stage 4 colon cancer. His main goal was to be an advocate for early detection through screenings.
Cannon died of colon cancer at 33, but Greaser says he'd be glad to know his legacy is helping ensure firefighters in Texas get more frequent cancer checks. Greaser also says the new bill will provide a huge lift for him and his crew.
Cardiac has been a leading cause of death amongst firefighters for a number of years, but cancer has exceeded that. We want to be part of a solution to give our firefighters an opportunity to serve a long career, but most importantly, when it's time to retire, that they actually can retire with their family on their terms and enjoy life beyond the fire service.
In Flint, Dan Millay, CBS 19.
And that's a wrap up your East Texas headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office has arrested a daycare worker after video allegedly showing her grabbing a child's arm, causing the child to fall and hit their head on a wooden shelf. Simone Simpson has details and a response from the daycare.
The situation allegedly happened here at Kidda's Daycare Preschool in North Bexar County. The daycare worker accused in this has been arrested, and officials tell us the child needed stitches for his head injury.
All is quiet here at the Kidda's Daycare Preschool along Bulverde Road after an employee was put in cuffs by the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. 50-year-old Veronica Jimenez, seen here, is accused of injuring a child after deputies reviewed surveillance video. Sheriff's deputies responded to a report of an injured child Tuesday at the licensed daycare facility. According to an arrest affidavit, the victim's mother told authorities her child reported being hurt by Jimenez. The boy's injury was so severe, the affidavit also states that he needed stitches. The video footage of the classroom showed the incident began when a boy knocked over a wooden shelf. The affidavit states Jimenez allegedly was seen approaching the boy and grabbing him, causing the child victim to forcefully hit his head and body against a wooden shelf and fall to the floor. Kidda's Daycare Preschool sent us this statement that reads in part: As soon as the matter came to our attention, we took immediate administrative action, including removing the individual from duty, and followed required reporting procedures by notifying Texas Child Care Licensing. The safety and well-being of the children in our care is our highest priority.
Jimenez was arrested on a charge of injury to a child causing reckless bodily injury. According to jail records, she was released the same day. Reporting from North Bexar County, Simone Simpson, KENS 5.
The teen accused of a pepper spray attack on the Riverwalk was released from custody. Now she's facing adult charges after the attack. She had been in juvenile detention because of previous unresolved issues. Sue Kalberg was in court as officials sorted out what comes next.
Even though the teen's name and image have been widely shared in connection with the Riverwalk attack, while she's here, the court has ordered that she has the full protection of anonymity granted to her when she was a juvenile.
So you are wanting to waive your rights today and proceed through with the plea?
Very good.
The teen told Judge Eric Reynolds she wanted to admit to previous violations of her probation agreement so she can move forward and face her adult charges.
But I just think that she deserves a chance, and I thought she already going through so much herself.
Crying and pleading for a break, the teen's mom said she has done well on supervised release before.
At the end of the day, she's not a bad kid.
Is there anything you'd like to say today?
The teen came prepared. She shared a written promise to behave with the judge. Reynolds said, "Prove it," and then ordered her release.
Every day, do what you need to do to show everybody that you can follow the rules, follow the law. You understand?
What's next? Full house arrest with a GPS monitor, and she returns to court February 23rd. At the Juvenile Justice Center, Sue Kalberg, KENS 5.
You see them everywhere, signs advertising quick cash, houses, or jobs. These so-called bandit signs are illegal the moment they're put up, but now there's a new Texas law to deal with them. Alicia Nieves explains.
They pop up overnight, taped to poles, staked onto medians, and planted at busy intersections. Signs promising quick cash, easy housing, or job offers. They're called bandit signs because they appear fast without permission and are just as quick to disappear.
They're on every corner in every district, but especially in my neighborhood.
Jason Vasquez, president-elect of the Jefferson Neighborhood Association, says the signs just don't clutter streets. Some raise concern.
It'll be a fix and flip or some kind of scam. It could take away opportunities from those who are advertising legally.
Now, House Bill 3611 aims to close loopholes. In the past, someone could deny placing these signs or pay a small fine. Now, the law requires a written notice for a first violation, but adds clear escalating penalties from $1,000 to $5,000 for repeat violations.
They're not supposed to have them on telephone posts or on street corners.
San Antonio Code Enforcement tells us they remove signs proactively and respond to 311 complaints. But enforcement has long been a challenge. They say phone numbers are often burner phones, signs are cheap to make, and officers usually have to catch someone in the act to issue citations. Reasons why Vasquez is encouraging others to get involved.
And a lot of residents need to be made aware that they are empowered to take them down on their own. I usually pick them up and I'll take the little iron part out and use them for my garden.
Alicia Nieves, KENS 5.
The San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo is kicking off rodeo season with its third annual official cowboy breakfast. The free event happens Friday, January 30th from 5 to 10 a.m. outside the Frost Bank Center. Guests can enjoy free breakfast tacos and coffee, live music, family activities, and appearances by the Spurs Hype Squad. Proceeds benefit St. Philip's College. The event also marks the official start of the Rodeo Barbecue Cook-Off. And that's the news in San Antonio.
Here are headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. Now to the latest in that deadly ICE shooting and its impacts here in Texas. The woman killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis this week has been identified as 37-year-old Renee Good, a U.S. citizen and a mother of 3. Authorities say that she was blocking the roadway and, quote, weaponized her vehicle while officers were trying to get their car out of the snow. 12 News reporter Ebony Coleman, she spoke to local experts here in Southeast Texas about this killing that has sparked protests.
I spoke to an immigration advocate, a lawyer, and a Texas law enforcement representative. They say they're looking at the incident from all angles of the spectrum. It's hard for Jennifer Clark, president of Southeast Texas Impact Initiative, to watch the moments Renee Good was shot and killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis.
At the end of the day, this was a citizen exercising a First Amendment right, and the government stopped her from doing that by killing her.
The Department of Homeland Security says Good had blocked the roadway and weaponized her vehicle during an operation. Police say when Good began to drive away, one of the officers got in front of her car. Thinking she was trying to, quote, ram them with her vehicle, that agent shot at least twice into her windshield as she tried to drive away, but she crashed.
You can fire to stop a vehicle that's coming at you.
You can get in front of a car to try and stop somebody from escaping, but you can't jump in front of the car simply to justify shooting into the car.
Kevin Lawrence is the executive director of the Texas Municipal Police Association. The group represents law enforcement agencies across Texas. He says although questions remain in this case, the law is clear.
I've got an F-150 sitting out in the driveway. It's not a deadly weapon right now, but if it's doing 40 miles an hour down the highway pointed at somebody, yes, it's a deadly weapon by means of its use or its intended use.
He says intent and objective reasonableness will play big roles in the investigation.
So the courts don't care about what the officer's subjective thinking was. They want to know whether or not the officer was using objective reasonableness, whether or not their fear was objectively reasonable.
Port Arthur attorney Langston Adams agrees, saying the key standard is what the law calls objective reasonableness.
The standard of evaluating the use of is objective reasonableness, not purely subjective fear.
Meanwhile, Clark believes agents need more training on how to de-escalate situations.
I think most of us would feel compelled to run. And so shooting her in the face as she's driving away, it's unconscionable.
Lawrence says he believes the agent could face both state and federal charges, with the FBI likely to handle the investigation. In studio, Ebony Coleman, 12 News.
Lamar University has announced it's launching a new department, and it says there's an increase in demand for healthcare professionals in Southeast Texas, and they're prepared to meet that. 12 News reporter Daniela Tapwada-Palau, she spoke to the dean.
I think this change is really special.
There's a new college at Lamar, the College of Nursing and Health Professions. It combines a number of healthcare-related departments already at the university.
The 4 existing departments and/or schools were in other colleges spread throughout the university, so now we're all coming together as one family under one college. We can start working interprofessionally to learn about healthcare together.
A change that Dean Joseph Tacey says needed to happen for the community.
It came about due to the need of the healthcare industry needing more healthcare providers. People are living longer, and so therefore there's more need for health professions in the U.S.
Dean Tacey says students like Rem Meridia will be better served by combining the school's resources.
I've heard that there's going to be like a mental health nurse practitioner program, CRNA program, so this does give a gateway to more opportunities in higher level of education through Lamar.
Tacey says the college hopes to add several new disciplines in the coming years, including nursing anesthesia, medical laboratory sciences, and more. Opportunities that students say keep them rooted right here on campus.
The new opportunity, knowing that we can pursue our education even further right here at Lamar, is really awesome.
The college hopes to attract hundreds of new students, a vision the dean says is about more than just growth. It's about impact.
It's a legacy that will give back to Southeast Texas and provide the much needed healthcare professionals to take care of those citizens in this community.
And that was Daniela Tapwada-Palau reporting. For now, students, they can expect no significant changes, but within the next 2 to 5 years, the dean says that newer programs should begin to evolve. Well, the United Way of Beaumont is kicking off its second annual Ladies in Red campaign, and that honors 13 local women for their professional accomplishments and their commitment to giving back. The campaign began with a cocktail kickoff party in downtown Beaumont. United Way leaders say that the women were chosen because of their values that align with the organization's mission.
So we specifically chose each woman for their gifts and talents and how they give back to the community. So they are familiar to us at United Way. We have a relationship with them. Was carefully.
United Way says the honorees are also fundraising to support dozens of local programs and nonprofits throughout the year. And those were your headlines for Southeast Texas.
I'm Lindsay Littman. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. What started as an emergency public safety alert has now turned into 10 charges and an indictment for Hamilton County Sheriff Jason Brad Bolton. Reporter Sydney Walker breaks down the series of events that led to his arrest.
The one meant to arrest has been arrested.
I'm glad that they uncovered the truth
Trampus Chu has been outspoken against the sheriff for months.
Sometimes we just gotta be patient.
It started back in September when multiple people were hospitalized due to alleged altered weight loss drugs sold by Chu's wife at her coffee shop.
When I went to commissioner's court, the issue was how can she be arrested for something when he's doing the same thing and then nothing happens to him?
I'm standing here in front of what once was Texas Coffee, a coffee shop owned by Erica Bedell, who allegedly was distributing fake weight loss drugs throughout Hamilton. Now, thanks to indictments obtained by 6 News, we now know the sheriff was also allegedly involved.
He's just a typical politician because he thought he could lie his way out of it.
Now the sheriff, Brad Bolton, faces an indictment of 10 total charges. Those include 5 counts of tampering with government evidence, 3 counts of abuse of official capacity, a false statement, and failure to report a felony.
Now they see that I wasn't just an angry husband, I was actually a voice for the people.
The indictments say that Bolton failed to arrest Bedell, refused to prevent the delivery of the dangerous drug, and possessed, promoted, or facilitated the delivery of the drug.
The investigation turned up, I think, substantial evidence. There's that.
The 5 counts of tampering with government records all accuse Bolton of making false entries in a monthly community service timesheet, alleging Bolton added 8 working hours that were not actually worked by Bedell.
I mean, it's not over, but the wheels of justice are turning.
In Hamilton, Sydney Walker, 6 News.
Well, meantime, organizers in Waco are holding an emergency protest in response to a deadly ICE agent shooting in Minneapolis that has sparked outrage nationwide. Protesters gathered outside of the McLennan County Federal Courthouse Thursday night at 5 p.m. to call for accountability for the agent who pulled the trigger. The Party for Socialism and Liberation, Waco chapter, organized the demonstration. Their goal was to show solidarity with those protesting nationwide and to raise awareness about what they describe as a pattern of deadly federal enforcement actions.
Just because we're over here in Waco doesn't mean that we can't show our support, but also we have to understand that just because it is over in Minneapolis doesn't mean it can't happen here. And so we have to not only be aware of that, but also be prepared to be unified against that, so that way we don't have any of our community members suffering the same way they are in Minneapolis.
Those in attendance were told to peacefully exercise their First Amendment rights. Waco is also opening a new visitor center downtown. They're looking to build on their rapidly growing city. The center was moved from near I-35 to downtown to help support local businesses and attractions that are there. The city says the reason for the move is also for tourists to extend their stay downtown with options like the Magnolia Market and the Dr. Pepper Museum. The center hopes to be a connecting point for everything.
The goal is to increase overnight hotel stays or short-term rental stays and encourage that visitor to stay a little bit longer.
The visitor center plans to host pop-up events for both tourists and Wacoans in the future. And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Texas News Now is sponsored by Germania Insurance.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.